Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the big and furry bovine. Joining me, the one and only Renee, who did not walk away, which is really kind of cool. And hi, Renee. How's life treating you?
Here. Life has been a little weird today. Thank goodness I don't have anyone watching over me or standing over me to tell me I can't watch football footage all day. I
Yeah,
did manage,
go
what?
ahead. Go ahead.
I did manage to get a lasagna in the oven, so that's about all I've done.
All right. Well, I can tell you today's going to be an interesting day on the program. I wanted to start out, though. We pay respect to those who preceded us. Paul Silas, 79 years of age, former coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, passed away at the age of 79 of a heart attack. I will quote Paul Silas and the fact that he had to wait 16 years between coaching opportunities in the NBA. And this will tell you what kind of a guy he was. This is a quote from 2013 after he was done with whatever it was he was doing, basically. I was known as a not hard worker, and it really hurt me when I was an assistant coach for about 10 years. I couldn't get a head coaching job, Silas told the Rotary Club of Charlotte. I really talked to teams about being a head coach, but I didn't get the job. What happened is I stayed positive. I had a positive attitude. Even though I couldn't get the job, I said, no, I'm not going to be negative. I'm going to be positive. Eventually, Silas would get his turn 16 years after he started in 2003 with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the same year the Cavaliers drafted LeBron James. And this will tell you a lot about Paul Silas. I coached LeBron for 2 years, his first 2 years, and LeBron was unbelievable, Silas said. At 18, he knew about Bill Russell. He knew about a lot of players who came through that most players his age didn't even know about, and he understood the game. And this is as concise an illustration of Paul Silas as I can give you, is that he was old school from the top of his head to the soles of his shoes, and it made an impression on him that LeBron at 18 would know about Bill Russell and the history of the NBA. And the reason that Paul Silas had difficulties as a head coach was as players became more prolific coming out of high school and college earlier on rather than graduating. Silas was old school and he wanted people to sit, and he didn't want to, allow for certain types of behavior. And he lost a lot of games. He won 400 in his career. He made the playoff 3 times. But the bottom line was that the players and he didn't get along real well because he was a disciplinarian and a very stern one at that. But he is a respected figure. He played until he was 36 years old in the NBA, which at the time he was the oldest player in the game, and he loved the game of basketball. And we're going to miss Paul Silas, and I would have been remiss if I didn't talk about him. Now, I know what you want to talk about, and it has a lot to do with Deshaun Watson. And not completely, but the whole Deshaun Watson situation is people are fighting over really nothing, and people are disagreeing over really nothing. I mean, nobody's going to tell you that he's playing top drawer football right now, but I never expected that to happen. He's being put in an environment where he's got to get up to speed really fast. And for $230 million, he can do that. And he was better week 2 than he was week 1.
Right. He is capable, but he's still dusty. So that has to play into it. I'll tell you my biggest gripe, 2 things. Not about Deshaun. What about 58 yards and penalties? 58 yards?
It was more than that.
That's what I saw all day today was 58 yards.
No, I mean they had the sheer penalties, the amount of yardage that went along with them, the broken coverages on top of that, the giving up long run from scrimmage when they hadn't the
Right.
entire game, when they absolutely needed a stop. There was so much going on. What I wanted to say, and 98 is the right figure, Ron. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. It was
That's
90,
the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
98 yards in penalties for the Browns. So you can't win football games making that many mistakes. And it all points back to one figure, and it's not Deshaun Watson. But one thing I will tell you is that at his press conference after the game, Deshaun Watson was asked a very blunt, direct question. They asked him on 4th and 1, you coming out of the game, Jacoby Brissett going into the game, and thinking that the other team would be thinking that we would sneak the football for the 4th and 1, and instead Brissett ends up lofting a ball out of the end zone when Donovan Peoples-Jones was open. They asked Watson if he was on board with that, and his comment was, that's what Kevin wanted to do.
Right.
And what I will tell you is this. I can't get Kevin Stefanski fired. You can't. No one in the press can. But Deshaun Watson sure as hell can.
That he
And
can.
I'm sorry?
That he can do.
Yes. And I'll tell you, from the look in his eyes, it's like he was as bedazzled in a negative way as the fan base. It's like you need that play. And, if you're going to fool somebody, I mean, look, Deshaun Watson is far more mobile than Jacoby Brissett.
Right.
And I don't care if Jacoby Brissett weighs a little bit more than he does. I mean, a sneak is a sneak. If you're going to fake going for a sneak, basically, and throw the long ball, I trust Deshaun Watson to make that throw over his career way better than Jacoby Brissett. So
Right.
it's a bad coaching decision. And this is, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What I'm questioning is why were some of these not challenged by Stefanski that should have been? This is one, I believe, where Watson was actually running. It's 4th and 1. Watson was running and could have easily done it, but he did go 7 yards, which appeared to be a first down. However, Stefanski wouldn't do it. He wouldn't throw the red flag. He should have.
Well, I mean, to me, things that are discretionary, the problem that you have is they will take a look at things, and if it's not clear where a guy's knee goes down, they're going to stay with the call unless it's absolutely defensible. And
Right.
and the thing that Stefanski is doing wrong is that he is consulting nobody else but himself, and he's making unilateral decisions that are not in the best interest of the football team, that brings the team down. We've got a kicker who is a 4th round guy who is supposed to help get points on the board if we were challenged for points, not even getting a chance to kick anything field goal wise in the beginning drive or in the one before the half, and literally waving his arms and saying, what about me? And when you have a situation like this, I'm not saying that Cade York did the absolute right thing by going ballistic on the sidelines like that, but somebody's got to fucking say something, because
Right.
Stefanski is making unilateral decisions that don't make any damn sense. And they fail. 18 of 33 4th down conversions. That's 15 failures. And there was a reporter, Schudel, from Elyria, I believe, in North Ohio, who was in the press conference, who said to him, isn't that really like 15 turnovers? And the question stunned Stefanski. He was like, well, you could kind of put it that way. No, that's what it is. You had the ball, you had control of the ball, you had control and movement, and you gave it up with a stupid play call instead of going to bread and butter. If you go to bread and butter and fail, nobody can say that you're a flake. But I say you're an egotist and a flake when you think that you can bring a guy cold off the bench into a game in which you've said prior to the game, no, that Brissett's not going to get any snaps because we have to get Deshaun Watson up to speed. Do you think this does Watson's confidence any good? I mean, the coach is awful, and he's not going to get fired at the end of this year. He's going to get fired after the end of next year when people finally realize that no matter who's back in the backfield and what quarterback he has and what running backs he has, the play calling is so unimaginative that it can't work. Teams have figured us out, and if we don't have our absolute grade A players at center on the offensive line, then the running game goes to hell in a handbasket, and we don't have a passing game. So
Stefanski is taking no responsibility. Did you notice that in the press conference?
Absolutely, and he never does. He doesn't come out and say something like, he's always like, we. It's never me. It's we. And, that is a deflection, and he'll say, we got to play better. I got to coach better. But it's, the fact of the matter is he does have to coach better because he fucking sucks. And this is too many repetitions of these same mistakes over and over again. And it's just, Keith, I know you're joking. I wonder if we could have a television show called The White Shadow today. Inner city kids with a white coach. I wonder if we could actually have that today. No, I'm not woke. Not by a long shot, buddy. not by a long shot. But I thought the look on Watson's face was like, well, that's what Kevin wanted to do. And then he said, my relationship with Jacoby's great. So he clarified that there's no antagonism on his part, but he didn't agree. He wasn't on board with that. And if this continues to happen in a push come to shove scenario, Deshaun Watson is greater than Kevin Stefanski. They've invested $230 million in him, and if they don't get him wide receivers who can get separation downfield, then Stefanski will go. So
you've got running backs that are Chubb. Let's talk about Chubb second.
Yeah,
Chubb, yesterday. And Stefanski really didn't. Well, he was more evasive about this than I anticipated. But Chubb was not even able to get but about 2.4 yards per carry.
Yep.
You don't keep going to your same offensive players with expecting the other team not to catch on. They caught on long before they ever went to that game. They knew Chubb was a challenge.
Well, it isn't. See, I think everybody in the press really makes a big deal over Chubb. But if you have Froholt in front of you and he's not blocking his man, and this is something that I brought up in the post-game show, and I wanted to bring up why the eye test. And I want to see if I can find this. Come on, find this. What it amounted to. Okay, here's the offense and the defense. All right. If you look at offensively, the grade outs, as far as how the player is graded, Deshaun Watson a 56.8. That's not good. Jacoby Brissett a 52.3 on one play. That's not good. Nick Chubb of 56.9. That's not good. Kareem Hunt a 56.6. Donovan Peoples-Jones at a 63. That's not good. Demetric Felton at a 55.6. Honestly, all I see him doing is running east to west in pre-snap motion and never see him ever again. Michael Woods, the second, was in the game for 15 plays, and I never saw him. Amari Cooper didn't show up for the game because he was hurting, and his hip was hurt. David Bell, with a 52.8, at least caught a few passes, and Njoku had a 63.1. But here's the thing I found interesting. The offensive line, Conklin only had a 64.8, Jedrick Wills a 60.5, Hudson a 60.0 with only one snap. Batonio only a 58, which is a horrible for him. Wyatt Teller, these are all pro players, a 57. But there is Froholt with a 43.7. All right? 43.7, and he played every damn snap. All right? Then the Bengals' best 5 defensive grades just look right across from Froholt. DJ Reader with a 91.4. Now, Jesse Bates looked like the second coming of Christ, and, and he had an 89.9, but he's covering people who are tortoises. Jermaine Pratt in the backfield had an 89.3. Logan Wilson had an 84.9. Jalen Davis had an 80.2. Let's look at it for what it is, folks. We are lacking in not just speed, but the skill of separating and running smart, good, tight patterns. But all you have to do is take a look at why Batonio's at a 58, why Teller's at a 57, and the answer is they're trying to cover for Froholt. And Froholt is ending up giving DJ Reader, of all people, a 91.4 rating. He just got ran over. So this passes the eye test as far as I'm concerned. And this is the problem, what Rick is saying. Yeah, a lame duck coach. And, this team needs a number of things. It needs an offensive concept infusion. Now, AVP isn't the guy to do it, and Kevin Stefanski's not going to let anyone else do it until he's terminated. All right? So we need, but we're not going to be able to do that until we fire him because he's not going to let go of that. But we need a new offensive concept in the passing game. The passing game is all screwed up. Our offensive line is trying to cover for a third string center. We have had some legitimate injuries on the offensive line. I'm not upset with that. But what we need is something that is a little bit more imaginative than what we are running offensively. And we have a quarterback who can throw the ball downfield and throw it with accuracy. We're going to have to tailor an offensive scheme to go with a guy we invested $230 million in. And part of this is that we have to get rid of the analytics people in the front office because they're drafting bad people. They don't know how to draft or refuse to draft wide receivers. And that's been proven since they've been in there. I would clean that out too, because, there should always be some analytical or analytics-based orientation to the way you evaluate people. But you cannot make that the conclusive be-all, end-all. It's a huge mistake because there's a human element, and if you went strictly by analytics, Johnny Unitas would never have been in the NFL. I can tell you a bunch of players who turned out to be great players. And on an analytics basis, you wouldn't have drafted Tom Brady. I mean, if that's the only thing that you're relying upon, you're in trouble. So I'm not saying that we fire the general manager. What I'm saying is that DePodesta has to go back to baseball or play with himself or do whatever it is he's going to do, because this is not working. And our draft, we have such a limited draft now. We have to hit on every single pick to make a contribution to get our offense going, to make a $230 million investment even seem worthwhile.
Right.
So, I don't think Barry it necessarily is, but DePodesta has way too much say, way too much. And when Stefanski's gone, then you have to also get rid of the main analytics guy, and that's DePodesta. You have to start getting a less egotistical Dorsey back into a general manager's or a advisor's role, because you can't be egotistical like Dorsey was. That's a huge problem because you don't own the team. But you need somebody who understands how to analyze drafts by more than just numbers on a page. And obviously, if it got us Anthony Schwartz, if it got us David Bell, whatever it got us at wide receiver, it ain't enough. They failed. So that's that.
I'm surprised that Bell is not playing better.
Well,
he came in.
Well, he's going in the middle of the field. He's, 5 yards downfield. They just toss the ball over the middle to him when he's slanting across. The play calling is so rudimentary that I don't think anybody looks like they know how to run a sharp pattern. Right. David Bell knows how to. It's just that the scheme is so overly simplistic.
Right.
Simplistic.
They're not allowing him to make the plays he should be making. And seems to be quite capable of doing so.
I mean, he catches what's thrown to him. So I can't Anthony Schwartz him and say you can't catch the ball. And, and I'll tell you, if Donovan Peoples-Jones is doing as well as he's doing this year with this kind of bad system, imagine if we had one more receiver who was a game-breaking kind of guy. We had DPJ and we had Amari Cooper healthy. I wouldn't be worried. I say Deshaun Watson would have what he needs to get the job done, yes. And then David Bell would be a possession receiver who would be a Jarvis Landry guy. And that's all good. That all you need is one goddamn receiver, and to get the people who are simplistically minded out of these front office and coaching positions and get somebody a little bit more visionary. That's what you need.
I think with time, we're going to see that change. And I'm going back to what you said earlier. Yes, Watson can get rid of Stefanski. He did a real good job of getting rid of several with the Texans. And he wasn't even, your $230 million player there. That Watson can make things happen. He understands the game. He knows where he needs to make adjustments. He knows where the team needs to make adjustments. Being Dusty, of course, we can expect right now he's going to pay more attention to his coaches, specifically Stefanski, when they're in a game. But he also needs more reps when they're not in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you something else. You take flack when you do podcasts. It's part of the business. It's kind of like what Kevin Stefanski said, when you get criticized as a head coach, it's all part and parcel of what you go through. And, I express opinions, and Lamar Jackson is overrated. And I will say something about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is way better in his mind than he is on the field. He was not good yesterday. All right. But I want to read this to you because people who aggrandize their own accomplishments are people who are not humble, and there are people who are just waiting to get shot off a ledge. And I'm telling you, as I told you about Lamar, that he is his own worst enemy, Joe Burrow will get buried in an avalanche of leg injuries if he doesn't start becoming a little more humble about winning. Here's a direct quote. After beating Cleveland 23-10, as if Burrow did it by himself, Burrow extended an arm to disappointed Ohio football fans. If people want to root for the Browns, it is what it is, Burrow said. We love our fans. If you want to come on over, you can hop on the bandwagon. Some fucking bandwagon. The goddamn Bengals?
The Jaguars beat the Bengals. Come on.
You mean the Dynasty Bengals?
Yes.
Oh, God. And look, it gets worse. Eli Apple, the cornerback, says, I think we already have kind of flipped the state's football allegiances. When's the last time the Browns won the AFC Championship? Okay. See, that's enough for them. They won the AFC Championship, and they're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not going to be AFC champions again this year. They're not that good. And honestly, a demoralized Cleveland team playing with a rusty quarterback, and the game was still in doubt with 7 minutes left in the game. So this is really ridiculous.
That's Burrow, and he's been that way. Well, when he got to LSU, he was, of course, more arrogant than his coach. He has never, in all of the years that I've watched Burrow, especially against Clemson, 3 years, Burrow is not what he thinks he is. He is not going to be on paper. He's not going to be on the field. Hi.
Oh, moo.
Moo. I saw you sitting down there, and I wanted to get you involved. But
yeah,
this is the article from Cleveland.com. I'm reading all of this.
Cleveland.
Get this. Winning helps. Linebacker Jermaine Pratt sees it as human nature for fans to gravitate toward whoever wins the most. Well, thank you, Einstein. But the Bengals don't simply win, Cleveland.com says. They win with style. Right? And I'll tell you what this reminds me of in just a minute. No, I'll tell you now. Sarah Silverman, the comedian, she said, I was going around meeting people, and I ended up meeting Ron Jeremy, the guy in the porn movies. And I saw him, and he was drinking cognac. And whenever he would drink, he'd have his little pinky up whenever he would drink. And, it really bothered me. It's like, why is Ron Jeremy drinking like that? And she said, and then I figured it out in a flash. It's because he's classy.
Thank you.
Now, the Bengals don't simply win. They win with style. Get this. Fresh quarterback. Check. Burrow, the supremely self-assured superstar, oozes charisma in every setting, particularly in high-leverage games. And Mary Kay Cabot goes on to say, that's why I want to fillet him. My God.
Hey,
Flashy receivers, check. Jamar Chase, I agree. He's good. T. Higgins set the receiving standard for touchdowns and touchdown dances. That's what we're talking about. Style is how we dance after we score touchdowns. Based on that, Nick Chubb's the worst running back in the league. Okay.
Yeah, and based on that, Brazil should win the World Cup, and they got knocked out. So
right. So much for dancing.
Wait a minute. T. Higgins is good. You got to give him that.
T. Higgins?
Yes.
T. Higgins has been a good player. He got hurt. Not his fault. Now, ties to the state. 6 checks for the 6 former Buckeyes. There's this Ohio State thing again. You got Eli Apple. You got Burrow. You've got Sam Hubbard. You got Von Bell. You got Isaiah Prince and Drew Chrisman. That the Bengals employ Buckeye players, and that's what makes them so appealing, and why the Browns fans should jump on their bandwagon. And here's what Jesse Master Bates said. We've got all the cool stuff that people want. Probably meth, all kinds of cool stuff. The Browns do it well, but they haven't figured it all out. I think we're the team in Ohio that everyone wants to see. Well, that's why you're on national TV so much, you putz. We've got all these Ohio State guys. It's good, man. I think we can slowly take that over.
The former Urban Meyer guy.
They're dreaming, aren't they?
I mean, it's goofy, after Sunday's loss, their season's over. Eli Apple said, go ahead and hop on, man. We welcome all newcomers. If you want to root again for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Carolina Panthers, the LA Rams, wherever ex-Browns go and get let go and then go to the next place. If you want to follow Odell Beckham Jr., you're free to do it. Don't come back. You're not going to come back. And if you do come back and you show up on this program, whoop, you're going to be blitzed right out of here, just like Joe Shipley. Gone forever. And, that hurts him tremendously. He was whining about that. He threw me out. Oh, he threw me out. Fuck you, you little whiner. You're a troll. No time for trolls around here, man. We're fans. This is a fan-based podcast. There's no subscription to this. There's no charge for this. If you love the Cleveland Browns, even though you might have 1,000,001 reasons like me not to want to love them, but you do anyway. This place is for you. We don't agree on everything, but geez, we're fans. That's what fans do. We are fanatics. And if we give up, we're not fans anymore. We go someplace else and we're fans of that team.
Or you stick around and, pardon me, bitch about it. I've heard enough of that.
I know. It really, it gets to a point, but I guess everything changes in time. And right now, look at this. David Talevsky is moved.
Yes, I am.
Hey,
how are you,
David?
Wow.
Good. How are you, buddy?
Doing pretty fine. How's it going?
It's going, man. I'm getting rolling again today, huh?
I hear you. Oh, man.
What do you think?
I don't even know where to go anymore at this point. I gave up on Stefanski probably like two months ago.
Well, what happened?
So I swear,
You're breaking up, David. You're breaking up.
Oh, I'm on my
Breaking
phone.
up is so hard to do. Okay.
I'm on my phone.
Keep going. Okay. We'll try to keep it going.
Got a headset?
Yeah, you need a
Yeah.
headset,
Chance.
mate. Good.
That would be your
Yeah,
best
well,
bet.
I got wireless earbuds in.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll
Maybe if I
try.
don't-
We'll
Why
try
not?
this.
Maybe if I don't move around.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
move.
be a mummy. Be a mummy.
I'll
That's right.
I'll just sit in one place. That'll probably do me better.
I tell you what, be like a wide receiver for the Browns and just park yourself 20 yards downfield and don't help your fucking quarterback at all. And then that'll work.
Get by a freaking rookie defensive back.
Yeah.
You hear me, Peoples Jones? That's you.
Wow.
Jeez, oh, weasel. So, so all of this bandwagoning and, the Browns aren't in a position right now to contend with this coaching staff and with this scheme.
Jim Donovan
And-
said today.
I'm sorry?
Jim Donovan said today on the newscast, he said, we're so far off from where we were 2 years ago that he doesn't know what direction we're heading in. He's not concerned about Watson.
Wow.
2
When Jim
years
Donovan
ago?
jumps ship, that means that, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Tom B., You're supposed to. It's hush money, man. You're not supposed to mention that. All right. Some people front me with cash, and wait a minute.
Well,
Wait.
I got a question for the entire panel here.
Wait a
All
minute.
right,
Wait.
so-
All right, R. Jones. Bandwagon my ass. Joe Burrow's a pussy. He's a pussy. Okay, that's little Timmy Bartholomew for you. All right, go ahead, Bron.
Yeah, a question for the panel. Right now, we all know that Haslam spent $230 million plus, whatever, to get this fine quarterback that we have. How much money would he dump on a coach that actually knows what to do? I mean, is he going to go out and find the top drawer coach and open up the bank and dump money on him or her to get what we need in town to actually run this team? Because we cannot let Stefanski run another season. It just can't happen. I mean, you could see Watson and Brissett chatting on the bench after some of these horrific plays go totally wrong, and they're like going, "Yeah, man, I know, yeah." Yeah, I mean, they're like, what are they supposed to do? You know?
The way I see it, I'm just curious where he's going to find the money.
Oh, I mean, I don't know whether coaching staff falls under the cap. I don't think it does it?
I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think
Unless he
it
can
does.
rip off more truckers.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is he'll do what Walt did in Breaking Bad. You know, you got to come up with some money. You go into the drug field. You know, you go into the hard drug field and you become a dealer. I wouldn't put anything past Jimmy Haslam.
And can I say this real quick, Moo?
Yeah.
Why are we clamoring for Sean Payton? I don't want that Baldygate idiot running this team.
No. I mean, but you see, the problem is no head coach worth his weight is going to want to accept all these decisions coming down from analytics people who are not football people. They're not going to like that. So that's going to cross off the list. I'll tell you somebody who I think would be an ideal person for us to look at, and that's Frank Reich. And the reason I say that is because, you know, his fortunes went to hell when he didn't have a quarterback. All right.
Correct. He's got one.
Yep.
He'd have one here.
He's got one.
He's got one here. And he is an offensively oriented head coach. And, you know, there aren't too many people who know how to work and integrate offense with their quarterback. And, you know, but you would need, again, my belief is if your head coach is offensively oriented, I mean, Kevin Stefanski is just offensive, but if you're actually offensive oriented, then you need a guy who's a strong defensive coordinator. And that's unfortunately not what we have. Joe Woods would not be that. So what you would need to do is whoever you hire as the head coach, you would say to him, how many people do you know that you would work with as a defensive coordinator? Interview them, but find the people who are, it's just like with our offensive line coach Callahan. Find people who are tried and true, dyed in the wool people.
Doing.
That's right. That's, you know, I think that's the way you build a team, but we seem to decide, okay, it's all analytics now. And then whatever we do after that, you know, it falls into place the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean Payton and Craig Williams, right? Yeah. We need that.
One thing I'm going to say about what we've got at this point, you do have a player who is capable of calling the plays after he gets beyond this new period. Yes, they do need someone who is more defensively programmed because he'll have a better balance there to work with all of the above. You can't bring in another arrogant idiot like Stefanski and expect it to go the right way.
Well, Crumbly Q's got on the nail, the land of misfit toys. I mean, we've got the pieces here. We got the pieces here, but no one knows how to put them together the right way. It's like one of those puzzles for 8-year-olds, and they struggle with it. It's like, whoa, we got 45 pieces, but we can't do this puzzle.
I've heard people mention we should go get the offensive coordinator from the Eagles.
Well, here's the thing.
That's great. But,
Yeah, I mean, there are problems with bringing in somebody who has no head coaching experience. That becomes a big problem, at least in
another Urban
my mind.
Meyer.
Yeah, I mean, you're just bringing somebody in because somebody's having a good season. Fans will always gravitate toward that, but I don't think that's the smartest thing that we could be doing. I think, everything should be balanced. You should have a pyramid structure in which you have a head coach, and the head coach is surrounded by competent coordinators, and it's people who can work together. We can never seem to find this whole thing. And right now, I get the feeling that Stefanski is just going to stand up for Joe Woods until the very end, because that's the guy he brought in, and that's who the other guys agreed to. And they both knew that they could whip the llama's ass, and they could whip Stefanski and Joe Woods' ass with the analytics bullshit and run the show. And this was all decided, like the person that they hired were the people who were willing to eat the analytics shit. And they went down the road, all the way down the road, and dead end.
Well, Haslam's track record is lurching from one way to the other way. Instead of finding competent people, he just lurches from one flavor of the month to the next flavor of the month, without any thought whatsoever.
Now, wait a minute. We're going to bring in another character here. This is the New York guy, if you haven't heard him.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this right now. J.B. Hood. I don't blame Modell for moving his team out of this godforsaken city. Oh, that makes me sick. You want to know something? Right here with Art Modell, and I'm grabbing my groin as I speak. Art Modell is decomposing. Bach was a composer. Modell is remembered more for being a decomposer. I don't want him in my memory. I want him gone. If I took my dog for a walk near his cemetery, I would let the dog lift a leg on his headstone. All right. Let's not get carried away, JB Hood.
Wow.
Do not excuse. Thank you. That's really funny that somebody would remember Winamp. I'm giving away my age again. It whips the llama's ass. Absolutely, aye. Thank you for understanding where that came from. I'd like to know that I have this link between my senior citizen, listeners.
Yeah, party like it's 1998 with Winamp.
Winamp, that's right. I do want to say a couple things that are complimentary of the Cincinnati Bengals, so people don't think that I just got a bad attitude or I'm in a bad mood.
Well, you do. You are.
Not at all. Not at all. I just see problems with, as a business person, it bothers me seeing the way the Browns are running as a business. Jamar Chase is everything and that. And Denzel Ward ate his dust. He was backing up. He was on his heels the whole time. We've got to really analyze what we've done with Denzel Ward and why he is backpedaling and why he's afraid, because he's not playing with any tenacity at all.
Well, the situation with Ward, I heard in the game yesterday, they were frustrated he didn't have any help.
Well, I mean, you came to
But
town
that's not news.
as a shutdown corner. That's what your job is. I don't remember Hanford Dixon saying, "But I need help."
Thank you.
I mean, Deion Sanders is like, "Where's the safety? Where's the safety?" I mean,
Yeah, Dixon was on one side of the field, Minifield was on the other, and only the Broncos managed to score on us. So there you go.
But Jamar Chase is a very talented wide receiver. He makes T. Higgins better.
Yeah.
He makes Hayden Hurst better. He's you have to focus on him in such a way. I mean, he's a Calvin Johnson kind of guy. He's a really, really supreme receiver.
Yeah, if he plays, 5, 6, 7 years, he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if he stays healthy.
Yeah, he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So, and as far as Deshaun Watson is concerned, I don't expect him to leap out into the fray and be special. What I'm interested in now is seeing the similarities of problems that he's having to what Baker Mayfield had, to what Jacoby Brissett had, and now he has, which are going back, looking downfield and like, nobody's open.
Right.
And, it turns you into a scrambler. The good news, he's a better scrambler than Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett. The bad news is that's how quarterbacks get hurt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Watson's a lot harder to tackle than any recent quarterback that we've had.
Yeah. He's a dual threat.
He's sort of like the Nick Chubb of quarterbacks in that regard. He can break through arm tackles and not fall over and stuff. So from that point of view, I think he's a better athlete than just from a running point of view.
Yesterday, Watson had 370 pass yards, 33 rush yards, 1 touchdown, 1 turnover. He is getting better as each week goes, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens with his O-line, his receivers, his running backs, and we're going to have to do something better on defense. At the line of scrimmage, they seem to lose it. Tell me why.
Well, it's a center. I mean, we went over this yesterday, but we've got a fourth string center who's not a center,
right?
Who kept on getting run over and every play got blown up.
We still don't have a line though that is capable of keeping people, with Deshaun Watson and his lack of tempo at this point on offense. He doesn't have what he needs to protect him, and he will get better. But when you go to the defense, you've got to have all of your guys out there ready, willing to go, and playing to their highest potential. That's not happening. They don't exist.
In terms of the O-line, I think what I've heard them say is probably you could move Wills to right tackle and then maybe try something else at left tackle.
Yeah, I would move him I could move Wills from the right to the left, the left to the right.
Yeah.
And then if he continues not to work out properly in the offseason, he continues to be lazy, I'd move him one more step to the right to the sidelines and then another move to the right out of the stadium. Yeah. I mean,
like
you got to be dedicated.
You
got to be dedicated to make it in this league. I mean, it's too elite a league that you just can't get by without full effort. It's impossible.
Right.
So,
just looking at the playbook, Watson threw for more yards than Burrow did. And Burrow had that 45-yard play.
And Burrow, when they were up 23-10, threw an interception, the tipped ball. He was not playing a clean game. He was horrible in the beginning of the game. He looked like he was ready to lose to the Browns again, but the Browns weren't ready to win. That's what it is.
Correct.
Joe Burrow, I mean, him and his silly cigars.
They're a bunch of arrogant pricks.
Well, they're gonna get theirs. They're gonna get it, and they're gonna get it in spades, man. I'm telling you.
If they make the playoffs, they're one and done.
If the Cleveland Browns got one good wide receiver and kept DPJ and Amari Cooper, and they've got Nick Chubb, and let's say they have, because Dearness will be gone, but they'll have Ford or Dearness Johnson is the second back. Their offense will be just fine with a addition of a
line.
But look, it was funny. Somebody questioned me after the program and said, well, how did we beat the Bengals the last time so easily if Froholt's so bad? He wasn't playing. I mean,
exactly.
Don't you even check before you write comments? It's like at the time Pogish was playing.
Pogish was having a day, man.
And he did fine when he replaced Nick Harris, who came out the first play of the season.
We were lucky to get Pogic, as I recall.
That guy is a veteran guy, and he had good time in Seattle, and he played really well while he was in there. But the drop off was immediate once he got hurt, and Froholt took over. So,
well, I mean, let's blame the front office for letting J.C. Treader walk. Then, we can do that. We can play that game too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I look at the whole thing and I say, it's not like Cincinnati's head and shoulders better than the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, if they had one more receiver and Deshaun Watson throwing the ball to him, along with a healthy offensive line and Nick Chubb and a backup running back, and we have David Njoku at the tight end, they're not going to stop us. They didn't stop us before.
No, they did not.
And I don't think that, our defense is playing better. Well, we'll see what happens to you when you start playing better teams and you go along the way. And you say, well, we beat the Chiefs. Well, look at the Chiefs. They gave up how many? 38 points or 37 points or so, horrible amount of points to the goddamn Denver Broncos?
Yep.
I don't think Mahomes is ever going to win a Super Bowl again. That's just my feeling.
I don't know what the deal is, but it's not like the teams that Cincinnati is saying, well, look what we've done. Look what we've accomplished. It's like, it's different every year, man. It's different every year. And when you get into the playoffs, it's rarefied air. And you can have a regular season like the Cavaliers did last year, but when you get into the playoffs and it really matters and they put you in a straitjacket squeeze, you got to bust out and you got to play your best game.
Yeah.
I don't see the Bengals and Zach Taylor ever being able to do that.
Yeah,
I just don't see it.
Fluke last year.
I just think
but they do.
Yep, they do.
Why? No, I don't know.
It's easy for Eli Apple to talk when he's the worst corner on their team.
And I see JB Hood he's really a little rambunctious. You're going to go by the record of the
that's not really
quarterback.
his fault.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, that's as shallow an analysis as you're going to get. He put up so many points for that team. It's not his fault if he had to keep going out and continuing to score touchdowns because they couldn't put out a defense on the field.
Yeah, we all are. Man.
I think we all are. Yeah, exactly. That's why everybody's.
Everybody's frustrated.
Yeah, that's why we're going to start eating our young.
Yeah, everybody is eventually in the fold here, and you're allowed to express frustration because we do it all the time here. That's kind of the way it works. Before I get out of here, I did want to point out that there were a couple of stories there that I thought were interesting. No. I mean, Cavs do play tonight.
Ravens. I mean, what are they going to play their third string quarterback? Is like Chet Huntley hurt or
yes?
Deal with that.
Huntley is hurt, but the real question is, I think Lamar Jackson is going to put on his Superman outfit. That's what I think. I see it. I smell a Terry Bradshaw in the air.
It's an international live game, so it's the only game going at that time. So.
Yeah, I mean, what they're going to do is it's just like the Steelers used to do. It's like, and there's no way. I'll do Myron Cope. So,
you got to do Myron Cope.
Okay, I'm going to do Myron Cope for you right now. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers dead announcer. I'm dead. I died a long time ago. Yeah. If I sound like Gilbert Gottfried, I was around before Gilbert Gottfried, okay?
Yeah, you were.
Now, this guy, it's like
Terry Bradshaw was laying on the field and rolling around, and I swear to God,
severed leg.
He's going to have an amputation. You're absolutely right about that. And wait a minute, what's that I see stirring? What? It's Terry Bradshaw running out of the tunnel waving a towel.
And it's like fucking really WWE shit, It's like, make that stop. Dear God, make it stop. But Russell Wilson now has a concussion. So the bad news is that concussions are dangerous. All right.
Well,
The
most
good-
Broncos fans have had a concussion all year.
Yeah. Good news, though, is it also makes you lose your memory, and maybe Russell Wilson will just forget all about Denver.
Yeah.
Or it can kill you. This is what put my
Yeah.
son out of pro football.
Yeah, I
4
remember that
concussions.
story.
It's
Yeah.
not good. Wilson was
No.
forced to leave the 34-28 loss to the Chiefs after he was slammed to the turf at the end of a 13-yard scramble. And they had to put in somebody that nobody has ever heard of. Brett Rippon. And Rippon's, his father
Mark
played in the
Rippon.
NFL. Yeah, that's right. And my God, the Broncos trailed in that game 27-0. You're telling me that the Chiefs are good if they let them back into the game? Not good at all.
Insane.
Here's my favorite headline. All right.
Okay.
Jets Mike White toughs out loss. All right. Solidifies grip on quarterback job. Now, listen to this. Mike White took a physical beating Sunday in a 2012 loss to the Bills, resulting in a post-game trip to a local hospital for precautionary tests on an injured rib.
Oh,
But he
God.
might have solidified his starting job for the remainder of the season.
Oh, Jets. Oh, no.
No! It's like Mike White is like, so I have to give blood? Is that how I solidify myself in the starting position?
That's the worst.
He was
At least it didn't-
coughing up blood.
At least he didn't ask you for an anal swab.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm like, so this is what it takes. It's like, God damn it, I expect my players, and this is the Salah coming out. Salah's done a great job with the Jets, right? But
Yeah, I like him.
But nobody's going to like him for more than a year or two because he's going to wear thin with this Harry high school bula shit. It's like, Mike White ran through a wall. He's my starter. And it's like, but not for long. Why don't you do something to protect him rather than allow him to take a physical beating? Because I'm a defensive coach, and where I come from, I'm a linebacking guy, and I believe in crippling people. It's like, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, there's an old adage that they say that defensive coaches don't know anything about offense.
Yeah, and what they know
That's
is
true.
is injury, and you know what the funniest thing was for me? The
What?
funniest thing, and I got to get out of here because I got to eat my dinner, and then I got to get ready to watch the Cavaliers. 8:30 tonight against the Spurs.
8:30.
The Spurs are 8-18. Cavaliers, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell's going to play, if he's made the trip. I'm not sure. If somebody wants to look that up before I go off the air, I don't know.
He did make the trip.
He did make the trip, though. Then
Yeah, because I saw him doing an interview from there.
Ah, good. So that's at least good news. Maybe he'll be out there playing for the Cavaliers. What was I going to say, though? I think I sidetracked myself.
We talked about the Jets.
Yeah, I was
and we
done
were
with.
talking about Huntley for the Ravens, and
Oh yeah, well yeah.
yeah.
The thing that was so funny to me is you put the Steelers and the Ravens on the field, and you got Harbaugh, the filthy defensive coach, and Tomlin, the filthy defensive coach, and they both gave concussions to each other's quarterbacks. It couldn't have played out more predictably.
yeah,
Trying to one-up
Goodness.
each other.
Yeah, goodness gracious! Did you see the hit that they
No.
put on that the Steelers put on Huntley?
no,
Oh
No.
my God!
Oh,
it
it
makes
was
me want to go back and look
miserable.
at it now.
I'll hear this, though.
Bad.
The Steelers fans are wishing they did it again after what Trubisky did.
Yeah, exactly. Minka Fitzpatrick came in and literally lowered his shoulder into the side of the guy's helmet and just
Oh.
rung his bell and out. I mean, it was a dirty, filthy hit, and of course they didn't call it on
They
the
didn't
Steelers.
call it. Didn't call
Yeah.
it on the Steelers.
And it isn't that I hate the Ravens. I do actively despise Mike Tomlin. And
Yeah.
as far as Harbaugh's concerned, yeah, I'm sick of these two teams consistently injuring people and giving them head injuries. But this has been the case for a long time now.
Yeah.
So,
Now, That needs to end.
Yeah, it does. So
There,
that's that.
I don't see enough calls for uh, what is it? Um, help me out here.
What is
I
it
don't
you're at?
see. I don't see enough calls where they're
Well,
lowering the helmets. What is it?
well,
What is
penalty
it?
calls, targeting.
Right, targeting. There aren't enough targeting calls,
Well, that's
and
in
this is going to
college, isn't it?
continue. Well, it's college and pro.
But at the pros, you could be thrown out of a game basically if you do
You're in
that shit.
college too.
But it's the Steelers and they're allowed to do it, and it's the Ravens they're allowed to do it. So what I'm opting for is that they play each other 4 times a year.
Correct.
Exactly. So I mean, we'll never have to face a starting quarterback that way against those 2 opponents, and then we'd be really strong so that we can go after Joe Burrow while he's smoking a cigar, praising himself, and put his other leg out of commission. Enough of him. Enough of his big mouth. I mean, what you're looking to scrape in fans from Cleveland. If I were a Cincinnati fan, I'd say, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want a
We
bunch
made
of people.
them. They come from us. We made them.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's like I don't want people who are wearing the brown and orange. I don't want that next to me in my stadium. And yeah, but it's all good for the athletes because they're on an ego trip that will not quit.
I mean, the
All
fan
right.
base they should go after is the cult fan base. That one's right up their Straza. Yeah.
Yep.
But it literally that fan base is doing exactly as they should do because they don't have what they need up there. It's almost as bad as the Browns fans.
Let's all be glad we're not Cowboys fans.
Right. Oh my God, that's where my son played. That's still his team. But Dak Prescott's got something coming Sunday. He'll learn a few things.
All right, I got to get out of here, folks. But hey, I appreciate the lively banter today. Thank you, Renee, for joining us. Thank you,
Enjoyed it.
Bronk and David. Thanks for showing up, man. Always
No problem.
a good addition to the
Has he
program.
moved yet?
Oh, Dave, you have to moo.
Moo.
Good, good. He's no longer a virgin. He broke his cherry here. All right, everybody. Enjoy your Monday night. Watch football. Watch the Cavaliers. Watch whatever you want. And have fun. I'll be back again on Friday, and we'll be talking. That's tricky because, we'll be talking about the Saturday game.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be interesting. That'll play as a real pregame show, and then we'll be back Saturday with a halftime and postgame show. So, everybody, take care, and I'll see you on Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.